Hey, what is going on, guys? This is a new season of the Nutrition Blueprint podcast, and it's been a while since we had a Chit Chat series. I feel like it's been a long time. I think the last time Dezi was a parent of one. Now he's the dad of two.
Parent of two.
Antonio was about to leave, I think, to Spain, and then he came back. I mean, there's just a lot of shit that's been happening here with all of us. Dude. So, boys, happy to have you back and excited to bring back the Chit Chat series into the Nutrition Blueprint podcast. What is going on?
Man, I miss you guys. I'm glad that we got this monthly chit chat going. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was taking a large amount of offense, Andres, that you fired us. But now that we're back for a new season, dude, I'm good now. I'm good.
There you go, man. How much sleep have you gotten in the past few days, bro?
It hasn't been great.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude. Thank you.
Augie, huh?
So for those, Augie. So for those that don't know, I just had my son. I don't know when this is going to get released, but we're recording on the 6th. So he came in the world on the 21st of last month. My boy Augustine, we'll call him Augie. It's been cool, man. It's been cool. He's starting to open his eyes, starting to track shit. It's just like the little things, you know. My daughter Rory, who's 6, is locked in. She loves being a big sister. Awesome. I'm the oldest of 5, man. So like being a sibling to me is like a really huge value system. So to be able to see that in my daughter, it's cool, dude.
That's awesome.
I'm loving life right now.
Good.
So you're trying to have more now that you're at 2 and you're one of 5. How many siblings does Callie have?
So she has 1. I don't know yet, dude. We kind of like, we were talking about it when we got some coffee this past weekend, like maybe like seeing how the year goes and then deciding there. But the topic of a vasectomy got brought up and she was like, no, she's like, I don't want you to do that yet. I was like,
yes.
Well, you know,
so it's still in the pot.
What's reversible? It's reversible now, though, from what I understand.
It is. I just don't know what the cost is. You know what I mean? So it's
about,
like,
I think it's about $1,000 from what I understand.
An incision in your nutsack.
So it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's the cost.
I think I've seen people talk about it, and I think it's the reversal one is like it's like between $1,000 to a couple grand to get it done.
Dude, you want to hear something that is diabolically genius? And so I saw this like a couple years ago. The
condoms
rate of that too. The rate of vasectomies go up right before March. Do you have any idea why?
Right before March.
March Madness. Yeah.
So
wow.
So the dudes can just chill and watch basketball.
I read an article
anything about it.
Yep.
It's diabolically genius, dude.
Nothing gets my testosterone going more than college basketball players.
I did hear about that the other day.
What is it?
Was actually very interesting, but
wait, did you not hear it, Tony?
No, what does it get? Because it gets warmer.
No, because you get to sit down like all day long.
You get to sit down.
It's a perfect time for you to like rest your balls, pretty much.
Oh, I see now. Okay.
Yeah.
God, I was curious. I was like, I don't get it. You get to watch college basketball players.
It's more because it's like a rest time. So it's like the perfect time to do that. So it's like the perfect excuse, anyways, for the wife and the family. And
just
all
watch
that,
basketball all the time. Yeah.
Okay, I guess. Each his own, man.
How are you, Tony?
Good. Not knowing much about vasectomies, I'm obviously not getting the same news cycle as you gentlemen. I guess I gotta lock in on vasectomy.
Gotta lock in the feed, bro.
Yeah, gotta lock it in. Life is good. Amaya's a year and a half old, close to 2 years. We just got her COVID vaccinated, which I'm sure is a big topic, especially with kids under 5.
Oh,
so we just got her first dose last week because we want to be able to start taking her places. By that, a lot of parents have already been taking their kids much younger than Amaya to like gymnastics and things like that. We've just been trying to be extra careful.
Yeah.
So she had her first shot. She did great. So I think we'll be completely vaccinated, hopefully within the next month. So very happy about that. And a big sense of alleviation. So many people have forgotten that the pandemic has even happened, and we travel a lot as a family. So getting onto a plane when they just lifted the mask mandates, and half the people on the plane were come back from Spain were not wearing masks. I was shitting bricks, as they say, because I did not know what was going to happen to her. Luckily, everything's fine. She's still living her best life, so that's great. Just here trying to buy a house. We were just talking about it moments ago that the housing market's insane. So if you're looking for a house, don't. But besides that, and in a month, I will be competing in my first ever CrossFit competition just to prove to Andres that I can kick his butt.
Oh,
but,
let's go.
Congrats, man. Which one are you doing?
It's one down here locally. It's called the Palm City CrossFit Fairgrounds Throwdown. So it's nice. A bunch of local like South Florida teams just coming up to do it. So I'll be trying my hand at it, as they say. So time to carb up and use some of the performance nutrition we've all been taught, preach to our clients, and actually apply it to myself, which has been very interesting, trying to get them carbies in.
Yeah,
so
congratulations, awesome, man. Congrats. Like GB was like making fun of people that actually sign up for CrossFit competitions, including myself. It's like you actually pay to go and suffer. That's not really, that's
what it is.
That's not really that fun, right? Because like she sees me like, you know, dying because like the adrenaline and everything, and you push yourself a lot harder than you can handle sometimes. And yeah, it's really interesting, but good. We're a really good update. Great too that you guys are doing well.
What about you? What's your update?
Well, you know, people typically hear from me on the podcast, but I'll obviously kind of give you guys a bit of a breakdown. So in this new season, as we're releasing, we're actually going through a lot of changes in our life. So we're moving to Argentina for about 3 months. Just
that's
because
so amazing.
We can right now, and we kind of take our business anywhere we go. So maybe some of these episodes you're going to be hearing about from us actually being recorded from a different background. So that's going to be interesting. And but things are good. You know, we are you know, still trying for our first child, and we're in the process of that. And GB got a lot of answers. I think I've talked in the previous podcast about sort of our experience with some miscarriages that we've gone through. And yeah, we're in the process of that, and we're more prepared and ready to go for that. So
I love it.
We're excited for the next chapter of our lives. And yeah, we continue to grind, as you know, as I say. So, but things are good. Excited to have you guys back in here and another kind of Chit Chat series. So, and for people listening in, we are going to bring this back. So if you're new to the podcast, the Chit Chat series essentially is hosted by 3 people. So we have Tony Castillo. He is a registered dietitian. Dezi you know, Desiderio Abeyta. I had to like write your full name the other day. So Dezi Abeyta out of Arizona. And Tony and I are here from Florida, and we just chit chat about different topics: nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, exercise. And sometimes we kind of go and paint a little outside the lines of those topics as well. So we can just kind of like bring you an hour of entertainment. So the purpose of this podcast or this Chit Chat series is also to kind of make you laugh a little bit. So if we're not doing that, please let us know. And then maybe we just kick one of these guys out. That maybe
send an email.
Send an email. Send an email.
Tony will be out of pocket a lot, so just get ready.
You're the one talking about vasectomies and March Madness. I didn't bring that topic up. You know what I'm saying?
No, man, I kept it medical.
You were the one that brought that up. And remember, our audience is mostly women. So, yeah. Well, but maybe they want to hear
maybe
about
they support
this,
vasectomies.
No, hey.
It is what it is.
100%.
But
real quick, Andres, thank you for sharing that about miscarriages, man. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Especially in the time that we're in with things that have happened, regardless of what anyone's opinions are on it. Just, you know, thank you for sharing that. It's not easy because a lot of people, families go through it. So thank you for shedding light on that. I did want to state that because my wife saw it and she was super like, oh my God, I'm glad you shared that. So thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a process, definitely harder for GB and me, but you know, we've actually kind of gone through it gracefully, and you know, we're in a really
the fact
good
that you
world.
guys are picking up and like going to like different places and being able to connect in that way, dude. Like I've told the 2 of you, like I love you guys so dearly, but to see it sort of take form, if you will, I think is so cool. And I'm of the mind too, like when you meet like a really fantastic person, you want them to have like multiple generations, because it's like, all right, we need more good people in the world. So like, please go do that. So
yeah.
Have you met those people yet?
What? What is?
Yeah, it? I got at least one on this pod. I don't know about the other.
Said if he's met those fantastic people yet, that he wants to continue procreation.
We're here. Cool. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate obviously the comments and appreciate the support, and
100%.
Definitely it's been a journey, but you know, we're definitely hanging in there. Well, speaking, there's a lot of things that happened ever since we kind of like chatted last, and there's a lot of topics that we can cover here today and kind of brings up a good point, but I think we're going to leave this conversation for next one. I usually don't like to kind of get too much into the politics or religious of it all, but I definitely think we should record from like a male perspective, male voice. Sort of like our sort of thoughts on the new, like, overturning of the laws
Roe
here
versus
in terms
Wade.
of abortions that kind of happened recently. And I just thought about it as we were talking about this. So I definitely think in the next chit chat, this is something that we're going to be talking a little bit about. We're definitely going to keep it a little more light today. We're going to talk a little more about TikTok. I know. So there's a lot of, TikTok. It's now one of the most used social media platforms in the world. Actually, I think they're doing better than Instagram. From what I understand, it's one of like the most watched video platforms. And
it's my favorite one.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think, but it also comes like it can be a double-edged sword for education and for information sharing. And so one of the things is that I've learned a lot as a dietitian in those platforms, that there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of people who go viral and, insanely viral, sharing information that a lot of times is not always maybe the best one. And sometimes like they may have the right intentions, but they just don't understand the damage it can be making to many people. So we thought that it would be great as part of our Chit Chat series to start to react to some of those videos and maybe start to kind of go through and then use some of those topics as or some of those videos as topics of conversation. So we're going to start with that process today. And the way we're going to do this, if you're watching this on YouTube or in a video format, you're going to be able to see the video. But if not, you're going to be listening to it. And we're always going to try to pick videos that actually have like a dialogue, that they're explaining something that happens, because otherwise you're not going to make sense of it if you just simply listen to an audio that is just like a song or something like that. So we're going to try to kind of make it as like educational as possible. And we're simply going to share our views on that conversation. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Let's roll, baby.
Ready to do it? Okay, let me make sure I kind of find the right video. So let me put it in here. So this video was created by username Maddie Cozen. She is she advertises herself as a mindset and fat loss coach. And she created this video. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm just simply going to share it right now. And then we will kind of react to it accordingly. So let me make sure.
Did someone tag you in this, or is this something that just popped up in your feed? How did you?
So I'm going to put it on my screen here. And then I just went to her, like you can kind of go on TikTok and different, like in the actual sites, and then basically place normally. So I'm going to head and share this real quick. Can you confirm, you can see it right now?
Yes.
Okay. So the title is for this TikTok was weight loss advice from people who have never been overweight. And her caption is, I said what I said. There's a lot of people that reacted to this, and I wanted to actually kind of give you guys basically the video initially. So listen closely.
People get really triggered when I say this, but getting weight loss advice from somebody who has never been overweight is just like hiring a business mentor who has never ran a business a day in their fucking life. Like it literally just does not make any sense. So if you've never cried in a fitting room, or you've never avoided taking family pictures because you knew you were gonna look big in them, you don't have business just telling somebody to eat in a calorie deficit and choose whole foods and do strength training, do cardio. Like, yeah, no shit.
She's triggered.
That. There's a lot more to it though, because if it was that easy, everybody would do it. Weight loss is simple. That does not mean it is easy. There's a big difference, and you wouldn't understand that unless you've been big. And I know that because I've fucking been there. Losing weight and keeping it off for life requires an entire internal transformation that starts in your brain. And this is exactly why I'm coming out with a course on this, because if people can just get their minds right, it's a lot easier. But you wouldn't know that unless you were big. You have no idea what it's like to be big and to feel so uncomfortable in your own skin, and you just want to get out. So if you're just telling people, oh, it's just like this, it's so easy, just please stop. Like there's way more to it, and you are ignorant. You have no idea. People get really triggered when I say this, but
So like, if you've never had heart surgery, you shouldn't give heart surgery.
No. Yeah.
right? Like,
so anyways, I thought it was gonna be trigger for people. You never seen the video before, right?
No.
I mean, she was triggered. Like,
yeah, supposedly she went on and to kind of like say that she did that on purpose to trigger people to kind of start conversations, but honestly, like, it doesn't really seem that was the case, right?
No, so she got cooked on the internet and probably had to.
I mean, there's been a ton of different kind of responses and a lot of different kinds of things that have happened as a kind of result of that, which has been, again, really interesting. But the point of it is that it's been something that I was like, wow. And I kind of reacted to it. And there's a guy, his name is like Ben Carpenter, which I'm also going to play his video, which I think was really also interesting in terms of like his response, because I reacted really well. I think he was like, he elicited a really interesting response in the process. We're literally talking about the idea that, okay, that is completely like uncalled for, because it doesn't, I understand that the aspect of sympathy of somebody that has gone through that process and they understand what it feels like, but doesn't actually make somebody who has not gone through those things not less qualified for those purposes. And again, the doctor example is one of them, which is, does it mean that you have to have cancer and go through cancer to understand how to cure it? And I actually posted about that, and I said something like that, and it's like weight loss is not equal to cancer. It's not literally even like, those are like definitely not complete different things. And I obviously, okay, I can agree. Like one of the things is like, life threatening, but some people can say that weight problems definitely can be also life threatening as well. But thoughts?
Okay. I'm going to look this up real quick just to like double check and confirm. So obesity is considered a disease. So is cancer. So, well, number one, my mom has had breast cancer, and her doctor who treated her has breast cancer. Just because she never had breast cancer, I would not want her to treat my mom. So in between all of us here, I know, Andres, your journey was more of a weight gain journey, but I know you work with women who want to lose weight. That doesn't mean you shouldn't help them. You have the mindset. We've all worked with professional athletes. None of us here are professional athletes. I've never been a professional baseball player in my life, even though a lot of people mistake me for a professional baseball player. I laugh because that's not true at all. But we've worked with these high-level athletes and CEOs, and it's just because we haven't been a pro athlete, we can't help a pro athlete. That's a bunch of bullshit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we said this in the text chat. I've come across this multiple times. That's why when it came up on this, when you had duetted it, I was like, I think that's probably a really great topic to discuss. The first time that I came across this was working in eating disorders. And a lot of the things that used to come across is a lot of the people that I work with, like, Des, you have no idea what this feels like. Like, how can you even help me? And I think the first place to start with is like acknowledging, you know what, I have not been where you have been 100%. And also I'm tasked to help build rapport and work with you so that you can develop a healthy relationship with food, because that's something that I've been able to find in my journey. And this is something that I can also help you with. Right. So I think in a lot of ways too, it is good for us to try to hold space for the person. But I think it's out of pocket saying that, you can't do this unless you've been through what she's been through. I think someone's triggered.
And there's also what was actually a little bit more triggering for me about that is, okay, so I understand the sympathy component of not understanding, what it's like to be 100 pounds overweight, which I think it's her case, right? But also using that as your credential to say, okay, you shouldn't really talk, but then I'm more like, justified, or I am the person that should be able to provide that advice. It's also very, very dangerous, right? And then she talked about the idea of like she's creating a course, right, on mindset around weight loss and all those different things, right? And I think it's important to provide support, but it also can be very scary, right? Because somebody that is not credentialed, or your only credentials is I lost 100 pounds, so I understand everything behind it, right? Then that definitely can backfire a lot, because then you're going to run into different kinds of people and different kinds of populations. So by the standard that you're creating, you're simply thinking, I just need to change people's mindset. I'm going to do it based on what I have learned to be the case.
There's levels to this.
Correct. right? So now you're adopting like the role of a therapist, or obviously, or somebody that can kind of help you work on mental health. Or, I understand, like, some people can definitely provide like a lot of routine tools, like, for mindset, but that is definitely going to be something that, again, like when what was triggering for me is like the fact that okay, you're saying like, okay, you should not listen to people who have not been overweight. So if you're a dietitian that has an academic background and has all different things like that, or a personal trainer, I think she's actually really pushing for like the personal trainer side of things, and you've never been overweight, and you kind of keep telling people eat in a calorie deficit, like eat less, move more, and like the very blank typical statements that you listen to, I can see that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but who are you to do the opposite, right? Like what qualifies you to provide advice, right? Well, I understand what you're going through. Okay, so there's a sympathy component, and I can see why that is important. But to the extent of like helping somebody lose weight, and there's a lot of maybe people that maybe benefit from her advice, but I would be skeptical around it. Yeah. And I don't know, again, and there's a good point of it that she makes, right? Like there's a whole world right now of business coaches. We talk about this all the time, right? Yeah. Like, and there's a lot of people that go into business coaching side of things without actually building successful businesses to a certain extent. So they just simply kind of go on that route simply because they want to grow their like revenue and they want to make more money so they can charge more. So I get that point, and that was a good reference. But then in health, I think it's a bit of an overreach.
Yeah.
So I work with someone who's in a wheelchair, and she's been doing fantastic. We haven't done any calorie counters or macro counting. We're just using the plate method. And I asked her, you should find someone to help you with personal training because that's not my strength. And she's like, oh, I know this person. She's in a wheelchair. She can really help me. Because actually she had a friend that was local that didn't know anything. And I was like, well, actually, I know you actually need to find someone that at least knows how to work with someone in a wheelchair, because they're not going to tell you to do squats and deadlifts just because you can't use your lower half. So you should find someone that specializes in it. Luckily, I knew that. So she found someone. And this person she knows also does nutrition coaching. And the first thing she told her is like, please don't tell me about nutrition. I already have someone for that. And of course, she went to go visit this friend who was also in a wheelchair. And of course, she brought up nutrition, right? And the first thing my client asked her was like, so what's a typical day look like at what you eat? And my client came back to me and said, she doesn't even eat any fruits and vegetables. She just follows the macro plan where she just eats chicken and brown rice. And she never even explained why she doesn't eat, or why she does eat brown rice versus white rice. She doesn't explain why she doesn't eat fruits and vegetables. So there's a whole long list of things that we can go into right now. But the point I'm trying to get across is this person who was in a wheelchair just got macros from someone else, and that's what she uses for other people. So she's in the same situation as my client. So just because you've gone through weight loss doesn't mean you should be giving advice. Just because you've been in a wheelchair doesn't mean you should be giving advice to someone else in a wheelchair. Just because you've gone through said incident, binge eating specialists, which are now popping up left and right on Instagram and TikTok because they've gone through binge eating, they should not be providing care to someone else just because they've gone through the incident. I understand the sympathy part, but let's talk about the science and the background and everything else you need to know that's going on with the human. Not just the mindset. I'm not saying that mindset is not important, but bring someone else on if that's not your goal. But don't be trying to take
build a team.
Yeah.
Build a team.
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic. So Ben Carpenter is an actual personal trainer, and he issued a response that I thought was actually really good. That I wanted to also kind of play in here for everybody listening in, so they can kind of like see different kinds of aspect and picture around this, which I think would also be helpful. So let me make sure I can share the sound on this. So hold your thoughts here for a second, share sound, and okay, so here it goes. I'm gonna just simply
people get really
advance a little bit the part that she talks. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Like, yeah, no shit, we know that.
Spicy. I'm a personal trainer that's never really been overweight. By that notion, I can't give weight loss advice. But instead of getting defensive, let me tell you what I agree with. A lot of personal trainers are hardcore fitness enthusiasts, and they have no fucking idea how to empathize with people who aren't also hardcore fitness enthusiasts. I worked in commercial gyms for over a decade, not training athletes, general population, very diverse client base. My clients have told me about people in the gym calling them fat, being secretly filmed in the gym by people laughing, not being able to find workout clothes that fit, paying for a gym membership to train just outside the gym, even in winter, because they were too nervous to train around other people, eating in secret because they were so used to people commenting on what they ate. Are you sure you should be eating that? You're supposed to be dieting. Feeling permanently hungry, even though they're in a body where people assume they are force-feeding themselves constantly. Clients that were called lazy, even though they had to work fucking hard just to reduce their body weight from here to here. Whilst people like myself and many other personal trainers can maintain a body weight here with barely any fucking effort at all. A personal trainer doesn't need to have been overweight to give weight loss advice, but if they haven't lived it, they better have fucking researched the deeper reasons that many people struggle with their weight. Emotional eating, the bidirectional relationship between obesity and depression, weight stigma, social determinants of health, compensatory mechanisms that make weight loss exponentially more difficult because they feel hungry all the fucking time. A lot of personal trainers are patronizing little fuckers that keep telling people who are struggling with their weight that they must just be lazy and need more willpower. As if just reminding people that they need to eat less is doing anything but just pointing out the glaringly fucking obvious.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's from really perspective of a personal trainer, which I think is a good point. It's again like, you know, the points that we agree on with what she said is the fact that, yeah, there is a lot of things that we don't understand because we haven't lived through them. Right. But then again, and the most important point that he makes is like, if you're going to advise somebody, and again, I just kind of bring this back to professionals, registered dietitians, is you must have researched like exactly how to deal with these kinds of situations from a science and evidence-based standpoint. You may not have felt and lived through these situations the same way that your clients have, but then you understand what are some of the implications mentally, emotionally, physically that can have around some of these different things. And you can empathize with people, even though you have not lived through it. If you understand what are some like the again, like evidence-based, the realistic, the reality of people of what they have. And I think that's definitely going to be the problem. I do agree that there's a lot of people, like there are personal trainers that just, and then I see them on TikTok all the time, right? Like, it's like, it's not that hard. Like, just be disciplined, just do the thing. Like it's not rocket science. And yeah, it may be that way, but there's a lot of really deeper layers of issues that many people struggle with. And for somebody that has never gone, I mean, I can tell you for a fact, like I've never been a person that have had a lot of weight issues. I, never kind of gone through some of those issues in the past. So, and for me, I'm a person that my lifestyle has always kind of been like, okay, like I may gain a little bit of weight, but it's not that much. And I can kind of maintain a level of fitness without really doing too much, though I do work hard and I do a lot of the different things like that. But I get the point in terms of that. I just think definitely it's an overreach when you're saying simply like you have no business in telling anybody what to do unless you've been through it, because it's more like, it's like very like, black and white. There's not kind of like in between where like, there are people that study this for years, aka certain registered dietitians. Not everybody can actually coach weight loss, and I think that's important to know. Even some dietitians, not all dietitians are good dietitians for this specific topic, just like there's no good some dietitians that cannot coach athletes, and there's some dietitians that cannot coach people with cancer, right? Or cannot help with people with cancer. You have to really focus on staying in your lane. But that's definitely a perspective that a lot of times we typically miss around some of these topics.
Yeah, I mean, when we all first started getting into TikTok, I think we saw this a lot more prominently. I've stepped away from coaching people through fat loss. Like, I'm not changing your body is going to be a byproduct of changing a lot of your lifestyle factors, right? And that's something that I throw myself into. But I do remember how patronizing, and this is me as an expert, I do remember how patronizing it was to have people, whether it was stitched or get filmed or whatever, and then have really patronizing gym trainers say, oh, it's calorie deficit. And acting as if it was so simple as just moving more and eating less. And we said this a little bit earlier, like this process, like there's levels to this. And you have to try to make sure that as you create a program for someone, it is tailored for them. No one else. It has to be tailored for the way that they think, the way that they feel, the way that they move, all of these things. The human brain is complex. And then in order for us to be completely patronizing in that way, to be like, oh, well, you just have to be more disciplined, by far is one of the most frustrating things when I see that.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side of the coin, I've never had a challenge with gaining weight, but it's something I've coached many athletes on. They want to gain muscle mass. So should I not be able to, because I've never had a struggle with gaining weight, being able to coach them? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, look at the opposite side of the coin. Like, we always look at the weight loss coin, but what about the other side, people that are trying to gain weight? Right? So, I mean, that whole post is just a bunch of BS. Like, in my head, like, I get what she's saying, but she's probably not the right person to help, because she obviously has her own challenges that she still hasn't gotten over. And that's why she posted that. So it sounds like whatever course she's selling is probably not going to help that person. It's probably going to harm them more, because it doesn't seem like she's doing anything that's evidence-based, but again, that's just from what she posted.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the reality behind that. And I think it's, and it's not black or white. I think, again, there's like valid points about it. I think there's some people that have had terrible experiences working with quote unquote coaches or trainers, or even like, I always like say this, like, I think not all dietitians are great dietitians, and that's just the reality. And I may have worked with people like that, people that go to, because I've heard stories, right, of people that go to a registered dietitian's office and they kind of told him, okay, here's like the exchange list. Here's a list of foods you need to eat. Here's the thing. And like, goodbye, we'll see you in a month. Right. So like, that is not being empathetic, right? That is just simply kind of going by the book and doing things from that perspective. So when you look at it from like that, and then if that girl went to that dietitian to help her lose weight, and that's what she gave her, I would understand why. Obviously you are so like, strong, have such strong feelings about people that may be professionals, or people that may have some credentials to kind of get you to that point, because there's always going to be professionals that are not going to, do you have any idea how many doctors we've gone through in the whole fertility side of things just to make sure we find the right person? And we'll have one person telling GB one thing and the other person telling GB the other complete opposite thing. So that's the truth of obviously professional. There's not really a consensus in the way that certain things are going to be done, right? So a lot of times it's finding the right person to help you. That's really what it boils down to, right? There's a big difference, because I've seen a lot of the content from this trainer, Ben, and, there's a big difference between hiring Ben, right, and hire maybe some like Joe Schmo from like a gym, like, it's this guy seems to know how, he's researching, he seems to know obviously training, to a deeper extent, compared to, for example, somebody that went through a bodybuilding show and now it's like training people on how to put on muscle or how to do X, Y, and Z. Right. Mm-hmm. And that is usually the scary things about that. So it's definitely a very freaking gray area in all regards, right? In every single profession, because everybody is completely different when it comes down to that. So it boils down to finding the right person to help you. Is it going to be this girl? Maybe she's going to have like out of 10 people, like, half of them are going to be super successful, right? Because they're very healthy and they don't have any health issues and they don't have all these different things like that. And you know what? They're going to praise her for, because you understand me, right? But there may be those people that are coming from backgrounds and coming from stories or just from experiences that professionals have let them down. And I can totally see why she has so many, like, if you see her comments, right? Like, there's still so many people that are feeling heard. They're feeling like, wow, this is interesting. So I think there's kind of opinions that kind of come from both sides, because we don't never know what people have gone through. And I guess the question is, what happened to you, right? Like, what happened in your past that would make you feel this way? In her case, I would imagine that in her history of trying to lose weight, she went through a lot of different people to try to help her, maybe some of them professionals, and she was never able to actually get to her goals until she started to change her mindset, which is what she talked about, right? She started to change the way she thought and the way she was thinking about this entire process, and voila, something happened, right? So it's like, okay, all these people, it's bullshit. They did not help me, right? Is when I started to change my mind around this, which I agree. You have to change your mind in order for you to be able to lose weight, and nobody can do that for you. Right? You have to do that yourself. So that is the reality around weight loss specifically. that in anything specific in terms of accomplishing your goals and your objectives. It's the same concept with business and business coaches, right? Like some people can give you the strategies and all that kind of stuff, but if you don't change your mindset around it, which, we've gone through that, then you're never going to be able to build a business, right? And then you're going to keep blaming it on people that are not credentialed, that are too over credentialed, whatever may be the case. And it's not them, it's you, right? So that's another part of it that I think it's also always important to bring it back to.
Yeah, I think personal ownership is really hard. Once you take personal ownership for the way that you think and how that operates with your behaviors, it's a really vulnerable process. And that's why, like, as professionals, we try to build somewhat of a multidisciplinary team. Like, if we have a client that obviously has some past trauma to work through, or obviously has some mental health things, it's like, you know what? Hey, what are your thoughts on seeing a therapist? It would be a phenomenal team member with what we're trying to do here with the lifestyle that you're trying to build. And I think for us, like, we understand that. We understand what the lane is, and we also understand the value of teamwork. It's really hard because when we look at some of these other personal trainers, I don't know if and this isn't across the board, although obviously, I don't know if they have that sort of experience of, you know what, it's time to bring some other people into this formula. And that's where I think as professionals, that's where we set ourselves aside. Like, we understand.
Yeah. Sometimes those comments can be very cookie cutter. And again, like very black and white, which is not our reality. And again, we speak from a point of like, we think we know what we do. And I think we do. I think we definitely have credentials and the track record and in terms of like how things should be done. So I think obviously we come from a place of like, we look at videos like that and we get triggered, right? Easily, right? I can see like Tony's face. He's like, what? Right.
I'm
and
pissed,
we get triggered
bro.
easily. Huh?
I'm pissed because like I've lost weight. I've had my own weight loss journey, but that doesn't mean I should be shelling out what worked for me and what didn't. I used what the science said. I remember walking to my first nutrition class, be like, they're going to teach me how to lose weight and why I should cut out carbs. And that was the exact opposite of what they taught. And there's a reason behind that, because we're trying to keep ourselves alive. We're trying to be optimal with our human health. And for someone to come on and just be like, oh, because I was in a fitting room and I know how it feels. Fuck that, dude. Like, there's a lot more to it than that bullshit. And she's just trying to sell a course. And I hate that she's fear-mongering on these poor people. And she has no idea what she's actually doing. She's hurting more people than she's helping.
I didn't even see what the views were. Like,
oh, she has 800,000 views on that video.
Fuck.
Yeah.
God.
And then it goes back to like someone like the Liver King who talks about eating raw liver. Then we have someone talking about not fitting in the dressing room. Like, these are the people that we have to, for lack of better words, fight against. Because someone feels heard and you feel heard, but then she sells you this course that leads you into the same trap that you were in before. So going back to what you both said, which is the personal change, the personal accountability, it's about the person. It's not about what this lady's feeding us. It's not about her being in a dressing room and crying about her fat shaming behind a camera, because I did those things, but that doesn't make me more qualified than someone else. That just means we went through the same experience. And that might make us closer in that experience, but it doesn't mean I can give you the right help because I did the same experience. There's 7 billion people on this planet. We're all going to experience things differently. And just because I experience one thing the same as you doesn't mean that we should be best buds and I should be giving you advice on things.
You know what? I'm glad, Tony, that you said that, because I think there's a huge difference. And this is something that we learn. I think there's a huge difference between resonating and empathizing and projecting. And that's what I think in a lot of ways, that's what I kind of felt from this video. Like, she was projecting a lot of her pain on the people that she's trying to help. And there's a difference between that and being able to engage in some storytelling where you empower the person that's on the other side of the screen. I think with her, she seemed really hurt. Like, okay, it's not okay to project your pain on other people and then sell a course because of it. Like, from a marketing perspective, one, she seemed controversial. So I think she completed that. 2, she sold the course and it's 800,000 views on that. It's unfortunate, man. Like, we have to amplify our voices over our other counterparts. So
and it's not even like the fact that she's just trying to obviously kind of build a business. I get that point. It's just the way that you're doing it, which again, we've always learned, being polarizing and social media can definitely kind of get you to get people, more eyeballs and people to pay attention to you. And I think she did a good job with that, right?
I'm just gonna start saying outlandish shit.
She went like, bat shit, like opposite side of polarizing. And I think she deeply knows that. And I think that was the point of the video, to grow and kind of get more viewership and all that kind of stuff like that. So I guess that happened. But the truth is, like, a lot of these videos, and the unfortunate truth is, anything polarizing is anything that gets a lot more clicks, a lot more likes, a lot more shares, and a lot more saves. And that's the kind of stuff that whenever these like social media algorithms are picking it up, is like, oh wow, this post is actually very very worth actually sharing, like, and to pushing it more to more eyeballs and to more people. Let's do that. So more people are being fed that information. Some people, again, relate to that experience. So it's like, okay, you and I are going to be, just like you were saying, like, Tony, like, you and I are going to be buddies. Like, this girl gets me, this girl understand exactly what I'm going through. So you got a good point. You know what? Like, this is what I'm going to start listening to you. I'm going to start following you because of the fact that I relate to you. Right. And that is the psychology of social media and following people, because of the fact that you're trying to follow people that you feel related to and that you feel that understand you. People want to feel understood, right? But the problem is, just because somebody lived your whole entire experience doesn't actually, and this is obviously the part of education and ignorance that comes in with it, which is, just because you went through it doesn't make you qualified to help me go through, the process of, getting rid of this or fixing the problems or accomplishing my goals. And that's the reality. Right. And I'm not here to say that I'm going to be like your God, the God that is going to give you, like, get you out of that place and out of a place of pain and struggle, because I may not be, like, personally, me as a coach, but I'm definitely going to do everything in my power and everything that is like research and evidence-based to help you accomplish some of those different things. Right. We work with most women in our program. And the other day I told people, I told our group call, literally, that had 15 people inside the call, and it was just me, the only guy, and I am the coach. And I was like, a lot of times I feel inadequate because I feel like in some ways, like, I don't understand you guys, right? Because I don't understand what it's like to kind of like, struggle with weight as a mom or as a female and stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to do my best to try to understand every single concept from science, from research, and from all those different things like that, to be able to support you and help you. And when I don't, I want to make sure you guys are connecting to each other so you can build community and support. Because that's another big part of it. There's nothing wrong with like sharing experiences and okay, I understand your pain. I'm here for you. Right. I'm here for you, whatever you need. You want to talk it out. You want to do these different things. You want to do that. But then when somebody tries to kind of take a step above that and then saying like, you know what, let me take you under my wing and I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to be able to accomplish these things. There's limitations to that. And you need to make sure you draw some pretty big fucking lines, and limits as to what can you do to somebody to help them. Right? Because your advice can backfire in the long term if you don't do things the right way. Ooh, that was a heated one. Tony, you okay?
I'm fine. I'm just trying to breathe it in, man. Just trying to take it all in because.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna bring back this like TikTok reactions because I think that was
I like it.
That was interesting. So, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, for people listening in right now, let us know. We'd love to kind of say hello to you. So maybe take a bit of a screenshot or of our conversation, share it, tag us in the show notes. You're gonna find the information so you can get connected to any of us, so we can have an open conversation about anything in specific. And also feel free, now that we're going to be doing this TikTok reactions, to send me or send us any videos you run into and send it to our social media channels. And again, go into the social media links. We're also going to add our TikTok links as well. So you can send us the stuff over there so we can discuss in our next Chit Chat series. And we can maybe even try to rapid fire some different ones depending on the length of them. This one definitely was one that needed some time to really kind of break down. But we'd love to kind of get your input and anything you want to share for us to be able to break down that you have doubts about. We'd be more than happy to do so. Boys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part of a Chit Chat series again. Welcome back. This is going to happen once a month. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys on the next episode.